Oh, don't know what happened there, but anyway, it's all good. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be in the world. Friday morning in Asia, Friday afternoon in, no, is that right? No, well, it's Thursday evening here, so must be Thursday night time, yeah, in Europe, and Thursday early evening here in the US. I am still in Las Vegas, Nevada in the United States, staying at a very nice room at MGM at the moment. I've been here a long time, 3 weeks and 2 days. And that was, of course, a little bit of a lead up to the day zero party by CDC, followed by that party on Sunday, the 5th, I think it was, of October, then the week of G2E, and now is the post G2E week. And I'm having some meetings over here, talking to some people, doing some planning for next year for both CDC and IAG, and just generally soaking up the atmosphere here in Las Vegas. Got a nice little light aircraft flight tomorrow over to Catalina Island in California, and then back to North Las Vegas Airport all in one day tomorrow, my Friday, the 17th of October. And then off to Toronto. Yes, I can now publicly state that I will be in Toronto, going there on Saturday overnight, arriving on Sunday to Toronto for the IAGR, the International Association of Gaming Regulators annual conference in Toronto. And I'll be there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then finally back to Asia. I'll be back to the Philippines after that. And then after a few days in the Philippines, back to Macau, of course, for the Power 50 on November the 7th, the 18th IAG Asian Gaming Power 50. The highlight of the year, well, certainly the social highlight of the year. It's a great event, the Power 50, as you all know. And of course, it is at Grand Lisboa Palace, which is going to be fantastic. Really enjoying that, the Power 50 and the lead up to that. So we'll see you all there on Friday, the 7th of November, 6:30 p.m. for the drinks, 7:30 p.m. for the dinner, 10 p.m. for the after party. And of course, as always, we have our intrepid studio producer, Oscar Guerrero. Come on in, Oscar. There you are in the office.
Yeah.
How are you, Oscar?
Fine, all good.
Good. Is everyone missing me there?
All of us. Everything.
Rubbish. I'm sure you're all enjoying it there. I'm sure Scott is holding the fort very well. And you're all working very hard, getting ready for the Power 50. I know that. All right, Oscar, I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Okay, see you.
All right, see ya. All right. Well, it's 7 p.m. here for me, and a nice little evening. Go through some of the stories of the week. Let's go through and have a look at some of the major stories for the week, or some of the more interesting stories for the week. So let's start off with this one. Oh yeah, Ed Bowers. So last week at G2E, on the Wednesday of G2E, I moderated a panel over here in Las Vegas. Kevin Tan, the chairman of Newport World Resorts, was on it, as was Ed Bowers. There we go. Scott's putting his few comments in there. Not that he's holding out. Yes, okay. I don't know if I believe that, but anyway, let's move on. I don't believe everyone misses me. I think they're quite enjoying me being away. But anyway, yeah, and Ed Bowers, obviously the president of international development for MGM Resorts International. So Ed does all the development of overseas stuff outside the US. And obviously Japan's been a big project of his. Not the only thing he does, also oversees MGM's efforts in Thailand and anywhere else outside the US. And Kevin Clayton, the chief brand officer for Thailand for Galaxy. So that was the panel. And one of the things that came up on the panel was Ed saying that, look, they had on Yamashima Island, where MGM Resorts International property in Japan will be. They had the World Expo there for about 6 months, just about finished now. I think it's got a month to run. And this proves that the Osaka site on Yamashima Island can handle 250,000 visitors per day, because I guess that's what the World Expo had. So that was quite interesting. So there was some discussion about the Yamashima site some years ago. Is it really a good site? It's a long way out of Osaka. It's kind of a bit of a wasteland. Can it cope with the numbers of people that MGM would like to see coming there? Well, the World Expo kind of proves it. And actually, Ed mentioned in that panel that they were kind of pleasantly surprised at how successful the World Expo was. So that's good news. Boy, I tell you what, I'm near the airport here, and there's a whole, I hope you can't hear them, but seems like every 20 seconds there's a plane coming over to land. So I hope that's not interfering with the sound. Okay, so let's move on to the next one, Oscar. Although this computer that I'm using has got pretty good directional microphone straight at me, so it should be okay. Look, and this story also came out of that exact same panel, and this was Kevin Tan's comment. So that panel was about growth in Asia and about growth opportunities. And one of the things that came up was in the Philippines. Of course, I think most people watching this will know that PAGCOR is going through a privatization process at the moment. Chairman Tenko is trying to actually make happen something that's been discussed for decades. And I asked Kevin, like, would Newport be interested in acquiring some of those properties, particularly given that Newport is establishing 2 other casinos in the Philippines, one in Boracay and one in Mactan Island at Cebu. Both are townships that Newport World Resorts, or Travelers, I should say, the company that owns Newport, owns and operates Newport Travelers' sister property or sister company, Mega World, has developed. So Mega World builds these townships in the Philippines. I think they've got 38 of them or something like that. And obviously that creates opportunities for him to develop smaller, right-sized casino properties on those townships. So he's doing 2 that we know of, Cebu and Mactan. I think they're both valued at about 400 million each, sort of smallish properties. I've seen the one on Mactan. I've had a bit of a tour of that, under construction at the moment. Very nice. And I asked him, would he be interested in acquiring some of these PAGCOR properties that are privatising? And he said, absolutely yes. So that was quite interesting. So you can see that's got a bit of traction, 667 views on that story. Maybe scroll down a bit, Oscar. There we are at the panel. There's me on the far left moderating, Kevin next to me, Kevin in the middle, Kevin Clayton, and then Ed Bowers on the right of screen there. Scroll down, and you can see the comments that Kevin Tan made. Yeah, quite a coup for us to get Kevin Tan on that panel, and great for G2E, and great for him too to get his property sort of more well known internationally. Well, there you go. I can see in the story 37 townships. It mentions there on the bottom paragraph. Yeah, let's move on, Oscar. What's the next one? So this was interesting. Last week we obviously had the talk of the town in Macau with the NBA games that were there at Sands, and that's something I think that probably Patrick Dumont, the incoming chairman and CEO of Sands, he's not that yet, but he will be as of 1st of March next year. He's currently the president and COO of Las Vegas Sands, the parent company of Sands China Limited, the operator, of course, of Londoner, Parisian, Venetian, Plaza, and Sands Macau, and also the owner of, that's Las Vegas Sands, of Marina Bay Sands. So, very, very large company. And I think Dumont's probably behind this because he's a big basketball fan, I think, given his involvement in the Dallas Mavericks, the acquisition of the Mavs from Mark Cuban last year or the year before. I think it was last year. And so that was the talk of the town. And Kenneth Feng from MGM, Kenny got on CNBC and he was interviewed there, and he said, look, this is good for us all. This is good for all six of us, which of course it is. It gives, excitement to the town, brings a lot of head count into the town. And those people aren't all going to just play at Sands. They're going to play at other places as well. So that's great. Just scroll down a bit there, Oscar. But the point that Kenny was sort of making was that all of these things that we're all doing, all six concessionaires are doing, they need to be meaningful. They need to be the right things. And I think with the push that the Macau government has put out there for sort of these non-gaming activities, it's important that we get the right things. And it's going to take a little time to work out what the right things are. Things that the concessionaire is going to benefit from, and things that Macau generally are going to benefit from too. At the moment, at the beginning of the 10-year concessions, from the 1st of January 2023 to the 31st of December 2032 is the concession period we're in at the moment. Over the 10 years, there's what is it, 16 billion, I think, US commitment of non-gaming by the six, non-gaming expenditure by the six concessionaires. Huge amount, ferocious amount of money, whatever it is. And people are sort of throwing darts at a dartboard at the moment, figuring out what to do. Well, they certainly were in the first year, but as time goes on, we're in the third year now, 23, 24, 25. I think the concessionaires are starting to figure out what works and what doesn't, and that was sort of Kenny's comment there. So quite interesting. All right, let's move on to the next one, Oscar. Look, this was interesting. I could say the Macau government kind of chickened out when things didn't run exactly to what they wanted in the first few months, and they reduced their forecast of 240 billion MOP for gross gaming revenue for 2025 to 228, was it? Just scroll down, Oscar. I'm sure it's in the story. I think it was 228. See if we can find it. There it is, third paragraph. I don't know why you'd reduce from 240 to 228. It's only 12 on 240. What's that? 5%. Exactly 5%. But now it's clear that it's going to be 240 because we've done 9 months now, and 9 months, there's the number there, 181.3. So call that 180. Do a third of 9 months to get it out to a run rate of 12 months, and that's exactly 240. But of course, the fourth quarter will be a bigger quarter than the first 3 quarters were. Why? Well, first of all, you've got October with Golden Week. Really, it's going to be a really, really big month. And secondly, just generally, the run rate, the monthly run rate of GGR is higher now than it was at the beginning of the year. It's ramped up a bit through the course of 2025. So I think we're easily going to make 240 for the year, 240 billion patakas, which is $30 billion US, which is a pretty amazing number. It is more than 2/3 of it is basically 2/3 it is 2/3 of the 45 billion high water mark we had in 2013. But of course, that high water mark was in a high junket environment with very, very low margins. I think the profitability in 2025 could well be higher than it was in 2013, even though the revenue is only 2/3 for a number of reasons. Costs are down. They've learned how to reduce their costs during COVID. There's no junket commissions to pay, or far fewer junket commissions to pay. They're the main two reasons. All right, let's move on, Oscar. What have we got next? This is an interesting one. This story shows the power of the media. So Harold Neumann steps down as Ainsworth CEO. Okay, why did he do that? He did that because right here, and actually I was there the other day at the Nevada Gaming Control Board. I was actually at the building the other day. They have senior executives like Mr. Neumann, CEO of a major supplier. They have to get relicensed by the Nevada authorities here, the regulatory authorities here, Nevada Gaming Control Board. Or is it the other one? There's two. There's Nevada Gaming Control Board and there's the Nevada Gaming something. Can't quite remember the relationship between the two. But I should know that, actually. Maybe I'll look that up in the coming week. But they have to get relicensed every 5 years, and he went for his relicensing. And normally it's a bit of a rubber stamp, to be honest, if you've been a good boy over the 5 years. But the authorities here said to him, we would like to, or said to Ainsworth, we think you should reconsider Mr. Neumann's application. In other words, we would suggest you withdraw the application, which is basically code for he's not going to be approved and he shouldn't be here. So Ainsworth were really left with a little option, but to read the tea leaves and for Mr. Neumann to step down. Now, why? Why did they do that? Well, it was purely on media reports out of Australia, actually. Let's scroll down here and see if I can find the key. Scroll down a bit more, Oscar. I think it's This comes after Australian media outlets were recently alerted to an ongoing investigation into Neumann in his home country of Austria in relation to alleged bribery and illicit political funding during his time as CEO of Austrian gaming giant Novomatic. Neumann has denied the allegations. Now, these, I didn't mention in this story, but these, this ongoing investigation in Australia, an ongoing investigation. Maybe just click on that, Oscar, on the ongoing investigation into Neumann. That'd be interesting. Yeah, here we go. This explains it better. Case of curious timing, a 6-year-old investigation into ex-Novomatic CEO Neumann rehashed before crucial shareholder vote. So there's a shareholder vote going to happen on the takeover of Ainsworth, and one of the people wanted a little bit of dirt out about Mr. Neumann, I guess, because suddenly it was in the media in Australia. Let's see if we can find the key paragraph, Oscar. Here we go, second paragraph. Harold Neumann, who took over as AGT CEO in September 2021, some 18 months after stepping down from Novomatic, was named by ABC News late last week as being part of a 6-year-old investigation. So this has been going on for 6 years, but it was only because it hit the media in Australia that it then was sort of known by Nevada, and then they asked him to step down. So yeah, it's interesting, the unintended consequences that can come and the power of the media. So there you go. Interesting. All right, next one, Oscar. Yeah, this is interesting. So Genting Berhad, the parent company, the parent of the Genting Group, launches US $1.59 billion full takeover for Genting Malaysia. So this is all about New York, actually. And you might wonder, well, why is Inside Asian Gaming covering New York? Well, I'll tell you why, because it's a Malaysian company. And actually, there's this New York bidding process. There's going to be another story about this coming up. But I think there's another story about this coming up. Yeah, I think we've got the story about MGM withdrawing. Have we got that one, Oscar? I think we have. Anyway, let's see. If we don't, I can come back to this. But, there we go. Yes, he just messaged me. Yes. So why is New York interesting? It's interesting because Genting, there's 3 casinos available. We're down to 3 bidders now, and one of them is Genting, and MGM withdrew as well. And of course, they both have Asian angles to them, and even Hard Rock is involved in one of the bids. And Hard Rock, of course, Hard Rock International, being led up by Ed Tracy, who many of you will know as the former CEO of Sands China Limited, and also a company that's always expressed interest in Hokkaido in Japan. So there is definitely Asian angles to this story. And so what this is all about is the current Resorts World New York City property, which is not in New York City, or Resorts World. Scroll down, Oscar. What's it called exactly? Is it New York City? Oh, it is called New York City, but it's not actually in. Well, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's just not in Manhattan, but it's the Aqueduct Racino. So originally it was the Aqueduct Racino, and then this is going to develop into what they want to do. Genting is develop this into a full casino as part of this bidding process to have downstate casinos in New York. And what they're claiming here is that if Genting Berhad does a full takeover of Genting Malaysia, because it only owns 49% at the moment, if it gets to 75%, I think it is, it's deemed to be, in fact, it may even be in the story, Oscar. Can you see 75% in this story anywhere? There it is, 75%. Thanks, Oscar. Effective 75% ownership or compulsory acquisition at 94.94%. They can acquire the last 5.06% compulsorily to take over. So that what they want to do is take this company private. It's listed currently on the Malaysian Stock Exchange, and of course, it's the company that runs Resorts World Genting, the former Genting Highlands, up on the mountain, about 1 hour's drive north of KL in Malaysia. But its subsidiary also runs the Genting New York. So it's all connected. And what they're saying is if Genting Berhad, the parent company, takes it over, in other words, we put it back in the family, back in the KT Lim family, then it will be in a stronger, their argument is it'll be in a stronger position to get funding for New York. So that's what this is all about. The whole New York process has been super interesting and frustrating for a lot of operators, but we'll get to that when we get to the MGM story. All right, next one, Oscar. Well, this was a real interesting one this week, Mr. Thomas Arasi. So Tom has joined Galaxy Entertainment Group as CFO, with Ted Chan stepping down. Now, this certainly set the cat amongst the pigeons this week. News was broken by IAG. We sent out a breaking news when it happened, which was, well, you can see the date there, Tuesday at 9:18 a.m., just mere minutes after Galaxy announced it. That's, of course, Macau time. Interesting, of course, people will know Tom as being the long-time president and COO of Solaire, or Balloonbury Resorts Corporation, the right-hand man to Mr. Enrique Rizon. He was there from very early on, not the absolute beginning, but he was the one that took Solaire to being number one in the Philippines, and he did a great job of it. But then recently left, I think about a year and a half ago, left Solaire, and there was, talk about where will Tom turn up. Meanwhile, there's been a lot of talk about Kevin Kelly being in Galaxy for a very long time, and would he stay or whatever. I mean, whenever I see Kevin Kelly, he seems happy as Larry working at Galaxy and seems to have no interest in leaving. But there was always, you always get this succession talk. And people were sort of saying, well, Ted Chan could be next in line. But look what's happened. Ted's out and decided to leave. Or he's left anyway, for whatever reason, I don't know. And Tom has come in. So now there's a comment I'd like to make here. I've been hearing from a lot of people, Tom as CFO, how does that make sense? Is he a finance guy? Well, I'm here to tell you, yes, he is a finance guy. You guys just don't remember it. You don't have memories all the way back. So Tom, yes, was in a generalist position at Solaire for many, many years, 10 years, I guess. Oh, no, 12. Well, no. It would be more like 10. Yeah, 10 years. Or 11, maybe 11. But his background all the way back, I mean, before that, he was Marina Bay Sands CEO for a while. And before that, he did have some jobs in the hospitality industry with hotels and so forth, finance related jobs. I believe he was in real estate finance or investor relations for a hotel company, something like that. So his background was indeed in finance. So anyone saying that Tom's not suitable for this job is wrong. He is. So, yeah, I hope that settles that. And who knows what will happen with Galaxy. So that's really, really interesting. Look, I mean, Tom's a great guy. I mean, he's done a great job there at Solaire. And for him to be moving into the big end of town in Macau under Francis Loy, I think it's great. And Francis has picked up a really good operator there. And I happen to know Tom's got a lot of respect for Francis. He always mentioned him in very glowing terms whenever we talked the industry. So that's going to be a really interesting thing. And I'd love to catch up with Tom for a cup of coffee when I get back to Macau. Anyway, all right, let's move on to the next one. All this is just that we released the video for MAD 31, which was the MAD that we had as part of the IAG Expo in early September. And what a great event that was. I think we had nearly 400 people on the guest list or something. I don't think 400 turned up, but I think it was over 300. It was packed. Everybody was there. It was great. There's Kylie. I mean, you see a lot of people. Maybe go full screen on this, Oscar. We're not playing the music, but let's just have a look here. So if you want to see a lot of familiar faces in the end, there's Lawrence Hawke. There's Miguel from Aristocrat. There's Noel Murray. I mean, so there's Alan Teo. There's Corey Roberts, CDC. There's Jamie Dorbian from Light and Wonder. There's Aki Issoy. Who else we got? Erin there from TechNet. I mean, a lot of people there. Rhoda, of course, there from Newport. She's in the gaming ops there. She spoke very well. Who else did we have? I think, is it Jamie next, maybe? Oh, yours truly. And then who's next after that? Maybe Jamie from Light and Wonder, I think, yes. And then I think it was Erin from TechNet. And just skip forward a bit, Oscar. That's it. Let's put the sponsors up. Just click at the end there. Yeah, put a freeze on that. Yeah, look, thanks to all these sponsors. We really couldn't just stick on that, Oscar, for a second, the sponsors. Listen, guys, we really could not do this kind of thing without you. So, thank you so much to all those sponsors there, Light and Wonder, Akata, RGB, and then all of them there. We had a lot of sponsors for this event, so it was absolutely fantastic. You're having trouble staying on the one spot there, Oscar. Let's move on to the next story. So please go and check out that video. You probably see yourself in the video because everyone was there. What's next? And here's the one I was talking about before. MGM Resorts pulls out of the race in New York. Now, this was sort of considered over here in the US to be a real shock that they did this. But the thing is, I mean, everybody that I've spoken to about this New York race has been complaining about it, saying it's a really difficult and weird process. You actually have to bid by saying how much tax you would pay. Very strange. Look, I don't profess to be a big expert about it. Our friends at CDC Gaming would be better placed to talk about it. But I know it's been a very frustrating process for many of the operators. I mean, Wynn had a great one there at Hudson Yards, sort of near the Javits Centre there in Lower Manhattan. And there were a bunch of others, and they've all pulled out one by one. And now there's 3 spots left and only 3 companies bidding. Now, that doesn't mean those 3 companies will get it. It could be like Japan, where we had the same thing, right? We had 2 companies bidding for 3 spots, and only 1 was approved in the end. So we don't know how this is all going to play out. But the 3 are Now, what do we got? We've got the Hard Rock one. We've got, obviously, there's Genting one we talked about before. What's the other one? Oscar, scroll down. Sorry, I've just gone blank. It's been a long day. I think it's in the story here somewhere. Yeah, Genting's one, Bally's, of course, Bally's. So Bally's has a plan there in the Bronx. Funny you should mention, the story, Bally's should come up in the story. I ran into Chairman Sue Kim at G2E while I was here, and we actually had a chat for about half an hour, walking and talking for about half an hour. And it felt like I knew him really well because I've done all those interviews with him. And he said to me, this is the first time we met in person. I said, no, it isn't. Surely it isn't. Because we instantly recognized each other. He said, no, I think it is. I think it's the first time. Because he said I was taller than he expected, probably fatter too. It was quite interesting. So really good having a chat with Sue Kim as well. So these Bally's are committed to a lot of things. I mean, their commitments are way over their market cap, but that's the kind of guy he is. Sue Kim, he goes for it. So he's got this thing in New York. He's got the Chicago thing. He's got Sydney, of course. I think there's one other, as well as the 19 properties he's already got, plus the one in the UK, plus the online, plus the lottery stuff. So, God, that's a busy company, Bally's. But anyway, this was all about MGM, this story, pulling out. And their excuse was, what they say? What they said was just very standard, what you'd expect them to say, newly defined competitive landscape. They said it was all too clustered near each other. Well, I don't know if I buy that. I mean, in Las Vegas, they're all clustered next to each other. But I mean, I think the simple fact of the matter is they decided that they did not want to do it. And I think it was probably more about maybe tax rates I don't know. I'm just speculating, of course. But everything I've heard from everybody was it just got less and less and less attractive as time went on. Very, very sort of democratic, sort of left-leaning government in New York as well. Big casino companies don't love that. Could be a factor too. So anyway, New York's out of the race there. So they've got more capital. Maybe they just want to save the money for Japan. Who knows? All right, next one, Oscar. Oh, I think we can skip over this pretty quickly. I didn't realize I had given you this one. Yeah, this was just explaining about how. So Genting, you have to bid. You say what license fee you're going to pay, and you say what gaming tax rate you're going to pay, and then they sort of take that into account in deciding who's going to win. Very strange process. And Genting Malaysia has upped it. Some of the analysts are not. They've gone for higher. And some of the analysts are not happy about that. I'm not going to go into that in great detail. We've talked enough about New York. What's next, Oscar? Oh, Power 50. We released the promo video for the Power 50. Perhaps just go full screen on that, let it run. Can we do the sound, Oscar, or not? I'm not hearing that sound at my end. Maybe other people are. Let's just let this run for a bit. It's a great promo you've made there, Oscar. Just looks so elegant, doesn't it, with the black and gold? Of course, we've had the black and gold for years. There's Grand Lisboa Palace, where it's going to be, of course. What a great property. I mean, it's struggled a little bit and it's had its issues, but the hardware is unbelievable. There's some shots from last year's event at Soleil North. Of course, the Power 50 now permanently back in Macau since we've got the IAG IR Awards permanently in the Philippines. So it's settled down now. Power 50 always in Macau and the awards always in the Philippines. Some great shots there. There's Vina from PAGCOR. There's Tom Arasi with the orange cummerbund. And some great entertainment we had at Soleil North last year. And of course, we'll have great entertainment again at Grand Lisboa Palace on November the 7th. Really, really nice. Just let it run, Oscar. We'll give Soleil North a bit of a plug. I think we go to the after party after this, don't we? Some shots of just skip forward a bit. Yep. There's Jeremy Walker going up to accept on behalf of Francis, number one yet again, 60th year in a row, equaling. And there's the after party up in the Sky Bar at the top of Solaire North. You could do a lot worse than go to the Sky Bar. Great venue. Yeah, I was just saying, Francis Louis equaling Sheldon Adelson's record of 6 years in a row last year. So if Francis wins again this year, which he could, who knows? We don't know yet. But if he does, that would be 7 in a row, and that would be wouldn't be equaling the record. That would be the record in his own right. So let's see. But of course, you've got people like Pansy, Lawrence, Katie Lim, maybe even Rob Goldstein, sort of in the mix there as the most powerful people. All right, Oscar, on to the next one. I think we're nearly there. Now, this is an interesting one. I just mentioned it quickly. Obviously Macau, we all know this, and I was very involved with this a long time ago, maybe 10 years ago now. Actually, more than 10 years ago now. It was 11 years ago. Macau's really got a problem with taxis, and also it's the problem is exacerbated by the fact that you've got this huge number of people, tourists coming to Macau every day, over 100,000 people a day. And we don't have a good public transport system like Hong Kong does. Hong Kong, of course, has MTR, which is very efficient. Macau doesn't have anything like that, just too small, too covered in water, too hilly, and nowhere to put the stations. So they have tried to make the light rail, but it's not the same as the MTR, is it? So, a really good, efficient taxi system would be good, but we don't have that in Macau. Of course, Uber famously tried to come into Macau many years ago. I think it was about 2015. They were run out of town by the government. And, the simple fact of the matter is there are a lot of vested interests in Macau, powerful people that own taxi licenses that like the status quo. So it's interesting that even Hong Kong is looking at doing a ride hailing, as they call it. But really what we're talking is an Uber type or Lyft type or DD type. I'm sure when it does come, I'm sure it'll be a Chinese one like DD. So quite interesting. But Macau, not yet. Although the chief executive has said he will look at it. But, whether anything will happen, we don't know. But that's something that Macau really needs, because you've got it all over the world, all over Asia. And then Macau says we can't do it. Why not? It works everywhere else in the world. I've been getting Ubers all over Las Vegas. I go to Philippines, I get Grabs. I go to Singapore, I get Grabs. I mean, why not? Anyway, next one, Oscar. I think this might be the last one. Sri Lanka, they set 30th of June next year as a target to get their GRA established. Of course, there's a couple of things that are catalysts for this. Lawrence Ho has opened City of Dreams Sri Lanka, which I haven't got to yet. I'd love to get to that next year. I will get to that next year. And so we've got a more sort of internationally major brand there for a casino in Sri Lanka, rather than the ones they've got there at the moment, like the Bellagios and so forth. No relation to the Bellagio in Las Vegas. Just scroll down, Oscar. So the government said they really want to get this established by 30th of June. Oh, and the other thing is the FATF, the Financial Action Task Force, is going to be taking a look at Sri Lanka next year. So they want to get a GRA in place, because obviously casino industry is a vulnerability in that regard, in the AML regard. And if they have a proper regulator in place, then that would be good. Who regulates it at the moment? I guess it's the Ministry of Finance or something. I don't know. Do we have it in the story? Don't think we do. But they have a thriving illegal online gaming industry as well. So you need a regulator in place. So that's good that Sri Lanka is moving in the right direction, get themselves a proper gaming regulator. Interesting that they call it the GRA, exactly the same as Singapore. Yeah, tasked with that. Thanks, Oscar, for highlighting that. Tasked with the collection of gambling-related revenue, ensuring transparency and good governance. So there's nothing wrong with that. That's all good stuff. All right, Oscar, was that it? I think that was the last one, wasn't it? It is. All right. Well, look, that's it for me. It's It's 7:37 p.m. on Thursday evening here in Las Vegas. For you guys, it must be in Macau and in the Philippines. If that's where you are, it must be 10:37 a.m. Have a good Friday. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time. And I will be. Where will I be next Friday? I will be. I don't know. I'll either be in Canada or I'll be in Manila. I'll either be in Toronto or Manila. Well, we'll find out next Friday. Okay. Have a great weekend. Bye for now. See ya.